Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're continuing our playthrough of Stars Akarios. We're going to be moving into our second mission. In the last video we went through the first mission in this adventure here. Then we had to make a choice. We decided to go to defend Medelia instead of the Sparrow. We'll see how that all turns out. In order to do that, we had to go ahead and put in home base as one of our prologue flags. I do want to mention that I got a lot of great comments on what we should call our flight characters, and we should also name our squad. We went with the Chaotic Flyers is what I'm going with. We've gone with the call sign Thunderstruck and Eclipse. Thunderstruck is going to be Enver's call sign, and I didn't even realize this. We're also supposed to name our ship. I had also a really great name for him as well, so I decided to name the ship Rhino because I thought that was really cool too. The other one we have is Violet Ray. Violet Ray, I'm using the call sign Eclipse, and we're going to call her ship Backlash. That's going to be my plan. We're going to dive into the story elements of this game. We're going to do a quick setup, and then we're going to get right into the mission for Stars of Akarios. If you're excited to see if Eclipse and Thunderstruck can make it through this next mission, then I need you to meet me at the table. The story element for this mission is right here. I do want to mention, of course, this is fully voiced in their app. So if you're interested, you can download their app and not have to listen to me. I would obviously not be offended. So it is going to be our story for Defend Medelia. If you can see right here, our objective is to eliminate all the enemy fighters. You absolutely cannot let the battle continue without doing everything you can to help. The calls from the Sparrow to return grow more urgent the further you pull away towards Medelia. Soma herself gets on the comms. I will not say this again, cadets. The evacuation is priority. Return to the Sparrow now. The comms stays silent in response. Likely, you're all thinking the same thing. There's still a chance to fight back. And you have to take it. Throttle up. You head to Medelia in attack formation. As you draw closer, the enormity of the assault becomes apparent, and it's much worse than you'd anticipated. Whoever planned this attack has carried it out perfectly. Everywhere you look, the battle appears one-sided. Medelia was caught totally by surprise. There isn't any more time for sobering thoughts, though. Out of your stunned daze, you pick up a squadron of fighters moving to intercept you. You're going to make every single one of them pay for what they've done here today. Here's the board. It's all set to go. You're going to notice we're going to be fighting anything with a 1 and a 2 on it. So we're going to be taking on 4 different ships. We have 2 asteroids and 2 nebulas. Nebulas are new for this scenario. What happens when you enter a nebula is you're going to take 1 shield damage. If you cannot take any shield damage, you are going to suffer the stun effect. Here are the 4 ships presented exactly as they're shown in the book. One thing I do want to mention is when I did the original setup for our first mission, there is a mistake that I made. And it was brought to my attention, and I appreciate all the help in the comments for anything that I was getting wrong. These numbers right here, they go on randomly. They're not just like I can choose that one to be 1 and that one to be 2, which is I think kind of what I did. So we're going to put these down randomly. We've got this one is going to be number 1. Well, this one will be number 2. This one is either going to be 3 or 4. Let's see what we get. We got 4 up there and 3 right here. And number 4 is going to be one of our elite synthetic fighters. So he's going to be a little bit more powerful. He's got 6 hull, 4 shields, and 3 attack, and is immune to target lock and jam, which is going to be bad news. The other side is just the basic fighter. They only have 6 hull, 2 shields, and 3 attack, and have no resistances at all. So they have a little bit more shields. We'll have to figure out if we can get through those shields for the other one. But I just want you to be aware that number 4 is going to be a little bit different. That's going to be our elite fighter. Let's quickly look at Enver here, also known as Thunderstruck, which is pretty sweet. He's got his Burst Fire, his Burn Flip, and his Simpax. This is something new. He's got Targeted Ion. I had my Patreons vote on what ship tech we should gain, and this was one of the ones that got the most votes, so we're going to go with Targeted Ion. This is going to allow me to slow a person within 3 range of him without like a firing arc, so it's anywhere in kind of a pulse of him, anywhere within there. He can spend a supply to do that during his turn, which I think would be really good. He's got 2 supply there. We've given him his health and his hull and his shields. He's all set to go here. I think this guy is going to be doing pretty good. Quickly taking a look at Violent Ray, aka Eclipse. She has the Proton Blast. I'm not sure if it's he or she. I just always call her she. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize. We're going to continue looking at her though. She's got her dice and everything ready to go. She's got her 4 health, her 4 shields right here, or hull I should say. This is the tech upgrade that got actually the most votes in my Patreon. It was Cloak. So we're going to give this character Cloak. I do have to use, when I roll my action dice, I'm going to have to actually set 2 dice to it in order to become Cloaked, which is going to make, I believe, Enver a little bit more of a person that they're going to target, but we'll see how it all plays out. I think Cloak is a really good idea, especially with this big flanking maneuver. I think this will be a lot of fun. In my infinite wisdom, you may have noticed I had a ship up here. That was wrong. I didn't read the book exactly correctly. That one I put up there would have been a 3, and we're only playing with 2 characters, so this should be our standard here for everything. This was the 3rd ship placed, and this is our 4th ship placed, so that is where that elite one is, as opposed to the other ones. These were placed correctly. I just didn't place those 2 correctly. So we're all set to go. I'm going to place our ships down, and we're going to roll our action dice and begin this combat. Before I do shake the dice and get our combat going, there is something else I want to talk about. Somebody asked me, so you sleeved all your cards, but how do they fit them back in the box? I don't. They don't fit back in the box. If anybody's wondering, what I've been doing is I've been using I have these super stackers, which are pretty cool. So this is holding all of the different combat AI cards for our enemies. I also have ones for the modifier and the sparrow. So the enemy modifier will go on top of this, so that holds that one. Then I have all the rest of the modifiers that we would possibly get inside here that we would be able to upgrade ourselves with. And each one of our characters I just throw into one of these when we're all done. So I'll put like the miniature, all their cards, and even the modifier deck themselves. It all fits into one of these super stackers. Of course, sadly again, not all of these do fit in the box, so I kind of place some of these next to the box after I store it when I'm all done playing. We're going to start our 2 ships right here, kind of a little close to the nebula, but I think it'll be okay. We're going to try to, I think that's going to be our first target. We're going to see if we can take that one out. Enver will roll his dice first. He got a stress, an attack, and 2 movement. Violet Ray will roll her dice second, a lot of attack and 1 movement, and then a stress. All right, this might not be the greatest plan on the planet, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to use her 2 attack dice to cloak. We're going to give her that ability here. We're going to take our stealth and put it right there, our cube, to signify that we have it. Then we're going to use a move here to move straight ahead 3. Then we're going to use this die to move and do our whole flank maneuver, which is going to cause us 1 stress here. So I'm going to move that up 1. Let's go ahead and start these actions. First we'll move 1, 2, 3, just like that. Then according to our flank card, we get to move 1, 2, 3 more. Then we get to move either 2 this way, or 1, 2, 3, 2 this way, and then be spinning around. I think we're going to move over to here. So just to recap, 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3. Then it gets to arc over here and then turn around and go this way. I did actually do that wrong in the first playthrough one time. I think I did one of the moves wrong. So just to show you the card again, it is going to be here. I'm going to be able to move 3, 1, 2, 3, then move a couple more and turn around. So here, 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3 here, and that way, spin around. Also, because I used this stress die, I could choose to pivot if I want to. I could make a free rotate action, so I could like turn myself that way, and I think I am. I think I'm going to end my turn, and instead of facing this way, I'm going to face this way. We'll see if that helps. I'm hoping this guy comes in this way and I can maybe make an attack at him. Remember, these enemies cannot target me because I'm in stealth because of my cloak ability, and I'll be gaining advantage on my first attack. The cloak will go away at the end of my next activation, so I am cloaked at this point, and hopefully it'll stay like that for a while. Doing both of those maneuvers does use a couple resources here, so we have to tick down those boxes. Sadly, I believe Enver is about to be a flying pincushion. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to move him a couple. We're going to use those 2 moves over here. At this point then, I'm going to fire with my basic action, which is going to target 1 person and do 1 damage in that pattern, that firing arc, if I can get them. And I'm going to use that stress die to do that as well. So I'm going to give myself 1 more stress over here. Actually, his first, I should say. One more thing I'm going to do before we make our attack is I'm going to use one of these stim packs to give myself advantage. Thunderstruck's moving up 1, 2, 3, and then 1 and over this way. That's going to give him a firing arc of 3 here, 2 and 2. Our target's going to be this one. Let's see if we can get it. We have to take our modifier cards here. I didn't give them a truffle shuffle before I put everything out. So we're going to give this one a good old truffle shuffle here and hopefully get some good attacks against them. Remember, we are at advantage here, so we get to draw 2 cards. We got a -1. That's not very good. And we got, oh, +1. We're totally going to take the +1, which is going to give us 4 damage. Oh, I lied. It's only 3. This one only does 2 damage, so then the +1 is 3. This is synthetic number 1, so 1, 2, 3. It first loses its shield. Since I don't have Pierce, I have to do those first. Then we get to go against the hull. Oh, it's actually going to be pretty tough. We'll see if we make it through this battle. Both of our heroes have completed their assigned action dice, lower supply and perform actions. We're updating our combat effects. There aren't any, so we're going to draw a card from each enemy combat deck and determine the order, perform enemy combat actions, and then update our combat effects. Again, we have our fighter deck right down here. I did not give this a truffle shuffle before we placed it down there, so I'm going to give it a good old truffle shuffle and see what card is going to befall our heroes. We have this one right here. It is going to move a couple, do some weird attacking here. Oh, well, look at this. It's going to be able to jam us. That's going to be bad news. Let's see here. First, it's going to rotate and attempt to attack. So we'll start with, we'll go onto the board and see how different ships are going to activate when it comes to the enemies. These are going to activate in ship order, but our elite one will always go first. So if we take a look at this card here, it's going to rotate first. I don't think it's going to rotate because either way, we're pretty much in its area here. At that point, it's going to attempt to fire. Now, its firing pattern is this weird thing. So it's 3 and then 1 on each side. So that is not going to hit. Now, if I were to turn him, it would still be 3 and 1 on each side. So again, he still couldn't hit. So at this point, we're going to move on to the next part of the AI card. That is going to be, did this attack? No. So it's going to rotate and fire again. Weird. So it's not even moving. That's something else. Oh, sorry. First it moves. Did it rotate, attack? Did it succeed? Yes, it would move. No, it moves. Okay, so its movement is going to be forward 2. So it's just going to move forward 2. At this point, here we go. It's going to rotate and then attack. So it is going to rotate this way. And now I am in its firing pattern of 3 forward and 2 on the side. So it's going to do, it can attack 2 different people, giving them a jam effect, but it's not going to give anything added to the modifier deck. So we're going to grab our modifier deck, give it a good old truffle shuffle. I did not shuffle any of these decks, so I want to make sure we get them a good old truffle shuffle before we move them out here. I need him to pull a -1 or a -2 or something bad. Oh my gosh, a ×2? That's absolutely terrible. Now this is the elite person, so he attacks for 3, so he would hit me for 6 damage. That is a monstrous hit. I don't think I want to take a hit like that. Instead of taking this hit, you can choose to damage one of your weapons or one of your engines. And I think we're going to get rid of this burn and flip. I feel real bad. That's also going to give me 1 stress when I take the damage in that capacity as well. Now that that action is complete, I will be shuffling their modifier deck again, because that's what you do. You shuffle the modifier deck at the end of the action when either the ×2 or the miss is drawn. Our next synthetic fighter is going to be the #1. We're now going to move into numerical order on our ships. Of course, the elite always moves first. We'll check our card here, rotate and fire. Does it need to rotate? It could rotate this way if it wishes to and go 1, 2, 3 and over, but that's not going to matter. This one, though, is 3 and 1 over. It is right there ready to attack me in its firing arc as it stands right now. So it will fire and then it will move. We'll draw our modifier deck and see what happens. Oh, wait, I am also forgot. I am going to be taking a jam effect as well. But we'll put that on there after I draw my modifier card. Let's see how much damage I take this time. A -1. That'll be pretty nice. So that instead of taking 3 damage, I'm only going to take 2 from this enemy. I'm going to place my token here for radar jam, and then we're going to lose 2 shields. This craft will then move forward 2, and that's going to be the end of its activation because it did fire, so the yes means it's just going to move. Next, we'll go to #2. #2 has a firing pattern of here, here, and here, but it cannot target that ship because it is cloaked from what I understand. So instead, it's going to move 1, 2, and now it can fire. So we'll draw a modifier card and see what happens. Oh, it got a miss, so that's fantastic. The other one got the double hit. I wish that one would have got the double hit, not that one, because that one's out of control. We're going to take our modifier deck and give it a good old truffle shuffle again, because that's the end of its activation. We're going to move to our last enemy, which is going to be way over here. This enemy's kind of out of the battle. It's not going to rotate. It's aimed right at its target. It's just going to move 2, and it could rotate and fire again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It can't attack, so this one is done. At this point, we'll go to our end of round, resolve any end of round effects or special rules. Players will collect their assigned action dice, increase the round marker, and repeat all phases until the scenario is a success or failure. There is no round marker to advance in this one due to the fact that all we have to do is destroy the enemies or get destroyed by the enemies. So we'll see how that works. I will get my dice and we'll go right back to the top where we're going to be able to increase our shields by 1. This is only going to affect Thunderstruck because he got Thunderstruck for 2 points of damage. And then we're going to roll our our action dice here and see what we can do. We'll start with Enver and see how he does. He got a lot of movement. I think that would be good. I might get getting him out of there. And one attack. Let's see what we got for Ray here. Oh, that's really good. 2 wilds, a stress die, and a combat die. All right, time to be super tricky, sneaky here. We're going to start with him. We're going to attack with our burst fire card that I have right here. It's going to be able to attack these 2 squares, these 2 squares, and these 2 squares. So I am going to be able to hit number 1 with this. It does 2 damage. Normally it could target 2 different people, but I'm not going to be able to. This does have a supply cost, so now I'm going to move the supply down to 1. We're going to have to draw a modifier card and see what we get. We got a 0. That means we do 2 damage, but we have a big problem. We are radar jammed, which means he's going to have disadvantage on all his attacks till the end of the round. Just like in Spaceballs, it was probably Strawberry. I'm not exactly sure, and I think it was Strawberry in Spaceballs. I can't remember exactly. Oh, I got a +1. Well, that's kind of a waste of a +1. But at least I didn't get any negatives. So we're going to do our 2 damage to number 1, bringing his hull down to 4. Actually, we'll be bringing it down to 3 if I can actually do math correctly. Now, I could have used one of my movement dice on here as well, but we're going to make a beeline out of here. We're going to do 2 of these and 1 of these. Now remember, the ones that have spaces in between, I mean, you can use those more than once, but you only use them up to a total of 2. The ones that have pluses, this is just being able to add an extra more potential attack power to this attack, not being able to use, I can't just use this at 2 different times. So we're going to move a couple and move forward. But before we do, we're going to target Ion, 1 person within a range of 3. And we're going to do it to this synthetic elite fighter here. We're going to give him slow. He doesn't have an immunity to slow, only to the radar jam and the target lock. Now it's time to exit stage left. We're going to move 1, turn and move, and 1, turn and move. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're just going to fly way up there and hope something can't actually get to us. Let's see what we can do with Violet Ray. Violet Ray is going to use some, well, since Enver got totally mauled last turn, this person is going to attack with a Proton Blast. This Proton Blast can do 2 damage and target 2 people and give the jam effect yet again. We'll see if we are able to succeed at this. I'm going to take my supply and move it down 1. I get advantage on my attack for this attack. If we look at our Proton Blast card, it's going to have an attack where its targeting area is 4 ahead of itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's going to be 3 on either side, being able to hit this one, and then 2 on either side of that one. If we look at our pattern here, so I should be able to hit both 1 and 4 as my 2 targets. And Cloak says, or I should say, Stealth says that it is able to get advantage for all targets of this attack. So I'm going to have advantage for this one and this one. I'm going to start with this one. We're going to take our 2 modifier cards. Oh, I do have to give this a good old truffle shuffle. We haven't done that yet with this modifier deck, so we're giving it a good old truffle shuffle. I haven't shot anything yet. Hopefully I can do some good damage to these guys. Our first attack is going to be a, +2. That's going to be 4 damage to this guy. Boy, I get to draw with advantage, though I don't know what's going to be much better than that. So 4 damage to number 1 is going to take that ship out. Let's see how we do against, with this ship, though, I've got a trick. With that 4 damage, 1, 2, 3, and an extra damage, this one is knocked out of the fight. That's awesome. I did get a chance to paint these guys up using, again, that Turbo Shift paints, which are really cool. They kind of glisten in the light here, which is kind of neat. I like the way these paints look. So I kind of painted up with a little bit of the darker blue and then a little bit of lighter blue on it. I'm pretty satisfied with the way those turned out. And I'm pretty satisfied that he's over here right on his dead card. Super dead ship. Here's the trick I was talking about. I have Exploit. I get +1 damage when attacking with advantage, and I do get advantage for this whole attack. So we'll draw our 2 modifier cards. We got, what, ×2? That's so good. I don't even care what that is. We got a ×2. That's going to do, it's only going to do 4 damage. Well, actually, this is an interesting thing I have to think about. I did 2 damage with our Proton Blast. Our Proton Blast is going to do 2 damage, and it's going to get a ×2, so it's going to be 4 damage. But I did Exploit as well. That does give it a +1. So do I get 3, then times that by 2 to 6, or do I get 4, add 1 onto it is 5? I'm going to do the add 1 onto it 5, so we're going to drop its shields to 0, then give it another damage here. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to modify and then times by 2, or if I times by 2 and then modify. So please let me know in the comments below. And then I'll make sure to put a pinned comment at the end of this video to explain what actually happened. I couldn't really find in the rule book, so it'd be interesting to hear what people say. With one ship out of the fight, the first thing we're going to do is shuffle our modifier deck again, because after you do a critical hit, that's pretty awesome at ×2, you have to shuffle up your modifier deck once that action is completed. The other thing I have to do is give jam to this character here, but it already has, or it is immune, I'm sorry, to radar jam, so I can't give that status effect to it. At this point, I do have a movement and a stress die left. We're going to use one of the movement dice again to bank. We're going to bank 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to move here and then spin around to right there and hope that this one can't hit me. It's not going to be moving because it did get slow thanks to Thunderstruck over there. This one, though, on the other hand, is probably going to be able to get up and hit me, and I'm not sure how that one's going to end up, but only having 2 potential attacks, hopefully not 3, I should maybe survive this round. Of course, that means I am not using my stress die, and that's okay. You do not have to use all of your dice on your turn if you don't wish to. We'll draw our next card and see what they're going to do. They're going to move around. Oh, look at that firing arc. That's out of control. It's first going to try to turn and fire, and we are going to start with our elite. If it doesn't attack, it's going to move. Now remember, this one can't move this turn because of its status effect. So we got super lucky. This one right here and these 2 squares are its targeting arc right here, or its firing pattern, I guess you could say. It's not going to be able to hit anybody. Of course, it's also in the back as well. Not worried about that because I'm not in the back. So this isn't going to be able to hit us. It's not going to move because of its slow ability. It's going to turn and fire again. It can't do anything. It's just going to sit there. Ha 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 ha. That's absolutely awesome. 1 is off the board, so we are going to move to number 2. Number 2 is first going to try to rotate an attack, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Since Thunderstruck over here has the highest hull value and they are equidistant to this enemy, it's going to target that one. So if we look here, it's going to try to rotate. It's going to rotate 1, 2 this way. Then it's going to do its firing pattern here, and its firing pattern is not going to hit anything. It's right there. But then we've got Bad News City coming next. Since it did not fire, it is going to move. It's going to move 1, 2. It's like it pretty much knew what it was going to do. This is absolutely awesome. I love the way how it all eventually kind of comes together with this thing totally chasing him down, which is pretty neat. I was really hoping I could get him out of there so he wouldn't be attacked by anybody, but that's not going to happen. Instead, this whole attack pattern is going to fire off. And if you look here, this infinity symbol, any person caught in any of these blasts here would actually be hit. This is going to have a +0 modifier, though this is going to be attacking at advantage because it's from the back. So we got, +1, that's no good, and a +0. So it's going to go with its +1 when it goes to try to hit him. It's going to do a total of 3 damage +0 here, so, no, more damage on Enver. Good news, it wasn't a ×2. 1, 2, 3, down to 4 hull. The last ship to go is this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say way too far. So it's going to go after Eclipse. Let's see if it can make it. It's going to try to turn. It's pretty much facing right at it, no problem. It's going to attack. It cannot. It's going to move. So it's going to move 1, 2, and then it's going to go 1, 2, turn and move that way. So it did go through the nebula, meaning number 3 is going to take 1 shield damage. And yes, they will go through these if they can in order to follow their pattern. The next thing they're going to do is go for the target here. It's going to be here and both things here. It cannot fire, but if I turn, maybe it can. 2, 2, 1. Nope, it still can't, but it is going to turn, so that's closer facing to that one is my guess. So that's going to be it. It rotated, it attacked, it wasn't able to hit. That's the end of their turns. Super glad that all that worked out. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Now the problem is I don't really have a good facing arc here, so I have to figure it out. And of course, look at this guy. He's got to turn around and try to do something to that guy. We'll start by gaining back a shield, and then we'll roll up all our dice. I'm also going to remove this. It should have been removed at the end of the action. It says that the target gets disadvantaged for their attacks until the end of their next action phase. So he did his whole action phase with taking that disadvantage attack, so it should have been removed then. Also, I forgot to remove the stealth token from her when she came out of stealth and attacked is when that should have come out. So we'll roll up all of our action dice and see what we get. We'll roll Enver's dice up first. Oh my gosh, he's about to hit something. But he needs to be able to turn to hit something. Okay, this should be interesting. He might not be doing a lot, but that's okay. We'll roll up the other dice as well. Oh, wow, look at this. A lot of attack dice and no moving dice. I could spend 1 stress if I wish to re-roll these dice. Let me think about this for a second. I don't know if I can use all those. We'll keep him and see what we can do. I'm going to use 2 right here. Shoot every gun I have. I'm going to burst fire on this guy. But before I can, I have to rotate because right now I'm behind this guy. So we're going to rotate and then do this burst fire. I don't think I can do this one though because I don't think I'll have the attack pattern. Let's go check it out. I'm going to remove this though because I believe I am going to use the rest of that. When you rotate, you're able to do 120, so 1, 2, that's the most I can do. That is going to give me the blast pattern for burst fire. I will be able to get him in my firing arc for that one. So I am going to be attacking for 3. Now I don't have the extra person to attack, but that's okay. We'll draw our modifier cards, but before we do, we are going to use the last of our sim pack as well, which is going to give us advantage. So he's pretty much used everything he has except for he has one more targeted ion if he wants. Let's draw our modifier cards. We've got the first one. Oh, it's a ×2. Looks like I didn't have to give myself advantage, but that's okay. A 0. That's totally fine. I did a total of 6 damage to this guy. Sadly, number 2 had yet been hit, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I could only get over there with Eclipse. I could probably take this guy out this turn. I am going to be left with this extra die that I can't use, and because we got that ×2, I have to give all of these a good old modifier truffle shuffle here. Shuffling modifier deck here. And get that nice and mixed up so we're ready for our next attack. Now I got to figure out what we're going to do with Violet Ray. She's kind of in a bad spot right now. I probably could have had a good shot at number 2 if I would have had another way of using this with an ability to turn, but I don't. Well, I kind of do. I could do these 2. I could move with my flank and rotate, but I don't think that's going to work. So instead, I think we're just going to rotate with this die here, and then we're just going to explode, blow up all these guys. I don't know if I can get 1, 2, 3. I can get him with this too. So that's going to be he's just going to attack everything. I'm going to lower my supply. We're going to rotate her once. We're going to do a rotate action, and then we're going to fire a proton blast followed by our basic action. Now, sadly, I can't use proximity because I don't have any advantage on any of this attack. This is just going to be one big ol' attack. I'm just going to turn with my rotate action, and at this point, I'm going to fire my proton blast, which is going to hit these 4, 3, and 2, so it is going to hit both of those people. This will be causing jam effect if it actually fires off perfectly. I'm going to attack number 3 first, and we'll see what we do to that one. We got a -1. That's terrible. So instead of doing 2 damage, I only do 1. And so I'm going to tick one of the shields down, and we'll see what we can do to number 4 here. Number 4, we got -1. That was very good. So I did 1 damage to that guy too. Now the good news is they get jam. Sadly, of course, our elite is immune to jam, but number 3 can totally take jam, meaning that person's going to have a disadvantage attack on me next turn. All right, well, those 2 cards were pretty terrible. Hopefully the next card's not too bad. We're going to attack with just our basic attack, doing 1 damage to 1 target. We're going to target that person. -1. So we did nothing. Mental note, should have probably cloaked and not try to take on 2 people with 1 ship. We'll draw our next card and see what we have. Now we do have our radar jam on number 3 and nothing else on any of our other characters. So we'll see how this all goes. Look at our card here. Please be a nice card. Let's see here. Moving all over the place and doing a shoot. Oh no, it's even going to do an effect to me. That's fantastic. It's going to do, +1 damage. It's going to be able to attack 2 targets. Oh no, this is going to be terrible. Well, looking at our elite, it doesn't even need to move. It's just going to rotate. It doesn't even need to rotate. It's just going to attack. It has 3 up here. 1, 2, 3, boom, right into me. Fantastic. It's going to do +1 damage, and it's going to give me that effect as well. That's going to be horrible. Let's draw our card and see what we get. We got a -1. Haha, -1 for you. Everybody's getting -1. So instead of it doing its +1, it's just going to go to 0. It's going to do its normal damage of 3. I'll lose 3 shields. 1, 2, 3. And it also is able to hack me. That's what this card symbol here is, hack. What that does is I have to take 1 stress, so we're up to 2. The next person attack is this one. Oh no, it's not done yet. I'm sorry. And did it attack? Yes. Now it is going to move forward 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And characters do not stop you when you move unless it is an objective with a number of points of damage on it. Then it's considered an immovable object, or kind of like a planet. And I did that wrong in the first playthrough. I actually moved through the satellite. That satellite is actually considered like an immovable object, so you weren't able to fly through it, and that was my mistake. We'll go to our next person, which is going to be number 2. I don't think there's much to report right here. I think number 2 is just going to take a shot at this guy. Let's see what he gets for his modifier card. -1. Ha! More -1s. Wow, this battle's going to last forever. We're going to get jammed and take a total of 3 damage. Sadly, this is starting to hurt. 1, 2, 3. I'm down to 2 hull, and I have to take 1 more stress. And if you notice, I do get to that 3, where there's a little box saying something's going to happen. So I'm going to have to give this character a miss card. So we'll grab our miss here. Notice the difference between this one and the shuffle one. Once this one's brought out, it would be, or shown, it will be removed. Also, you'll take your entire deck and your discard pile and shuffle it together whenever you add any type of modifier card to your modifier deck. So we're going to give it a good old truffle shuffle there and put it back down. The last person to go is number 3, and I believe that one can attack me just right now as it is too. It can go 1, 2, 3 and attack on both sides, so it doesn't need to rotate. It's just going to attack. Now it does have disadvantage on this attack, so we'll see what all plays out when it comes to flipping over these modifier cards. All right, our first one is, it's a 0. All right, fantastic. Hopefully this one's a -1 because everything else has been it's a -1 because everybody's getting -1s. That's awesome. All right, so this guy's going to do a total of 3 damage because, again, it would normally be +1. I am going to get hacked yet again, so I'm also going to get a miss added to this. Once it attacked, though, it is going to still move, and it's because it does say, did it attack? Yes, it did, so it's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So if I can just get my guy turned around, I have some pretty fun back attacks on these guys. That attack is going to deal 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, look at these guys. They're both almost dead. I have to add another miss here because that is going to give us our 3rd stress. And we'll take our miss, add it in with here. Oh, our other miss is on the bottom. I'd like to keep it there. We're going to give this a good old truffle shuffle here. Now we got 2 misses in here. I hope I don't get any more misses. Misses are bad news city. So shuffle up just like that. It's all set to go. We'll put it over to the side. And I think we're going to roll some action dice now. I think it's time to go to our turn. Before we do, each of our characters is going to get 1 shield. At least that's half the battle here. So we each have 1 shield and 2 health. Oh my gosh, this is out of control. It's going to come down to the wire. Enver is going to roll his dice first. He's got some move, a wild attack. I think that's going to be fantastic for him. Let's see what we get for Violet Ray. Violet Ray gets a stress. That's okay. I've got a movement, an attack, and a wild one as well. I think we got some really good dice. Now, one thing I could do is, if I wish to, I could use this action down here, but it costs me 3 of my 4 dice. This allows me to gain back 2 hull, I can get back 2 supply, and I can relieve 2 stress. And if you ever go back underneath one of these stress things here, you get to remove the miss card from there. So it could be a helpful thing. But I think we're going to go for broke. I'm going to try to take this guy out. We've got an attack and a move. Oh, we're going to put it right here, these 2 attack dice. We're going to try to hit him with our basic attack. I don't have my burst fire anymore, so we're going to attack him with these 3 straight ahead, so he'll be right here in the attack pattern. I need to hit him with 2 damage. He only has 2 health left. I don't have any more stim pack to give myself advantage, so we're at the mercy of this card. Come on, card. Oh yes, +2. That's going to be way more than enough, and it's going to totally take that guy out. Number 2 only had 2 hull left, so I'll be removing that one from the board. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely awesome. That was super good right now. There's a fatal plan in my flaw. Is that maybe a flaw in my plan? I have to use this dice to rotate before I was able to fire because I did not have it in my firing arc here. So I would have had to rotate before I could make the attack. And then after that, I have 1 die left. And we're going to use it to just burn rubber, or I guess space rubber. 1, 2, 3, right to there. That's about the best I can do. We're not going down without a fight. Let's see what we can do here. I've got some pretty crazy dice. We're going to try something pretty tricky here. I'm going to first use this as a move that is going to allow me to move 1, 2 to right there. Then I am going to use this die. We're going to use this die to rotate. So I'm going to be able to rotate 1, 2, just like that. And then I can use both of these on my final attack of my Proton Blast. This Proton Blast is super good. I'm going to use its final attack. I don't think we have any more that we're going to be able to do with this attack. And I'm going to be able to target 2 people for 2 damage, and I'm going to give them jam. I do have advantage against both of these attacks. I'm going to attack this one first. We're going to grab our first modifier card. We got a +1. That's awesome. And a 0, so we're going to take the +1. That's going to do 3 damage, knocking net number 3 down to 1, 2, 3 health. That has 3 hull left and no shields. The second one is going to go against our elite one here. And to do that, I'm going to use my exploit. I've got 2 more uses out of this card, so we're going to bring it down to 1. I get advantage on this attack. Let's see what I get, because I am in the back firing arc of these things. The arc for the back is always these two squares and then straight out from it. So anything from behind it is going to be a back attack. So we are doing a back attack against this one as well. Our proton blast is out of control and can hit all that without any problem. And then it does get to target 2 different people, if I remember right. Yes, it does. 2 targets for 2 damage. Let's see what our next attack is. I get a -1. Oh, that's horrible. Let's see what our next card is. Oh, it's +2. That's going to be fantastic. So we did 2 plus our actual attack of 2 is 4, plus my exploit of 5. We did 5 damage to that guy. We'll tick this down. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's enough to take the elite off the board. We're down to just only 1 ship. When I placed my stress die here, I do have to up my stress by 1 to up to 4. And stress dies are considered wild. They can be used for anything, either attacking or moving. And some effects like this flank, if I were to use a stress for that, before I did the flank maneuver or after I resolved the flank maneuver, I could do a free rotate action if I used a stress die on it. It's time to see what our last synthetic fighter can do. He's got that crazy pattern again. All right, that's that pretty much almost the same card. Oh no, it's gonna give him back a shield. That's gonna be bad news. I don't want him to get back any shields. That's gonna be no good. He's going to rotate, move, rotate, and attack. All right. So his target is going to be right here. So if he rotates 1, 2, that'll get him closer than if he were to rotate 1, 2. So he's going to rotate 1, 2 this way. Then after it rotates, it's going to move. It's not the normal ones we've seen before where it's rotate, attack, move. But nope, this is just going to straight up move. It's going to move 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is out of control. He's going to move to right there. Then he's going to rotate again, but now he doesn't have to. He has a target. The target now is that guy. He moved into the wrong spot. He's going to be attacked. He's got, yep, it's going to go straight ahead and attack everything. So it's going to do +0 damage. So right now it's doing 3 damage. It does not get a bonus because it's not attacking from the back. It does not have advantage. It just does a 0, which is going to do 3 damage to that ship. So this would be bad. I would take 1, 2, 3. This person would be unconscious. I'd gain a trauma. It would be a whole bunch of bad things. Instead, I'm going to take all the damage to my weapon. Now, I can't do it anymore. I can't use my techs and my pilot abilities to prevent damage from attacks against me. If I'm playing with the Sparrow out on the board, one time I can remove this to prevent damage to the Sparrow, but I can't prevent damage to myself. So where we sit right now is where we're at. Oh my gosh, this is going to be bad news. The good news is we're done being attacked. We're going to go into our next round. I'm going to tick this up to 2. I do get a shield. I am going to remove our jam from our enemy who actually should have been at disadvantage. So I'm going to draw another modifier card and see what we got. +1. Not going to take that. We'll just take the 0. That's totally fine. That's the end of his turn. So the fighter is done. We're going to get our action dice back after we both gain a shield back. We're now both at 2 and 2. Oh boy, this is still super close. And this symbol will charge up 1 shield. You can never go past your maximum value. If this were to be out on the board and you have max, you don't get any. Instead, oh, now this person's up to like 4 health instead of 3. I like 3 better than 4. Come on, pilots. Here's Enver. Enver's got some movement and some wild. That's a really good roll. Let's see what we get for Violet Ray. Violet Ray got another stress, but that's okay. A couple wilds and a move as well. Those are fantastic. I think this will be perfect. I think Violet Ray is going to attempt to end this person. We're going to use our move die to rotate ourselves 120 degrees. So we're going to rotate 1, 2, just like that. Now that we've done that, we're going to be able to use our basic action. I'm going to fire with 2 attack. We'll place that down in our basic action, which is going to hit these 3 spaces and the 2 next to it. I'm in the back, so I get an advantage on this attack, and I'm going to use my final exploit. I have no more resources on exploit, which is totally fine, but I get to draw 2 modifier cards and take the best one. That's not one's no good, that no good, that's no good at all. A 0. That's all I get is 2, huh? So I'm going to get 3 damage through on this one, which would have been enough to kill it, but now it's down to 1 damage. Oh, foiled. I am a little worried about this character, but I think we're going to be okay. First, I'm going to use my Ion, which is going to target him so he cannot move, which is going to be a good thing. I'm going to give him slow. Then we're going to use a rotate action, I believe. Or do we need to use the rotate action? Yes, we do. We need to use the rotate action in order to get him into our firing arc to be able to attack him with our main attack. And if that main attack fails, I am going to jet out of there as fast as I can. So we'll rotate 1 like that, draw our modifier card. I only get 1 modifier card, and he has 1 health. I'm doing 2 damage, +1 is perfect. That is enough to take him out. He had only one hull left. We'll put that to 0, and boom, we got our last and final synthetic, what do you call these things? Synthetic fighters off the board. Oh, I just love the way they look. They look really, really cool. All right, those are all dead. Your slick flying has cleared the area of fighters. In fact, you take stock. You notice there aren't many fighters anywhere. Most of them seem to have returned to what looks like a giant space platform, which must be their flagship. That massive titan of a ship begins to spin and light up. We do get rewards. I get a pilot skill, 10 credits, a ship upgrade, and each pilot may purchase one weapon upgrade from cards 01 through 09 for 5 credits less, and I'll be going on to scenario 4. First thing we do is gain 10 credits, so we each have 15 credits, just like that. The next thing we're going to get is a pilot skill. If you notice down here, these are 3 different trees of skills that you can gain in each of your characters. And notice the rewards are different from every character. So not everyone, they're not the exact same, which is really cool. If you see here, there is a slash in between this. So whenever you gain a pilot skill, you're able to cross off half of one of these. And these are going to be cards that are going to probably go into your modifier deck, but there are some things here that don't go into your deck. For example, pilot ability, or +1 here. These are going to be things we're going to be using when we go down to potentially some of the planets. So Violet Ray gets +2 here, and get another +1. Maybe I might want to go towards these to give better points towards one of these skills, as opposed to gaining a ton in a certain skill. I don't know. I've never been to a planet, so I wouldn't know what's the best thing to do here. We can either get -1 stress. We can add one of these 2 modifier cards, or sorry, this is a modifier card. These are all going to be going to a modifier deck. This one is removing 1 stress. This is going to be able to give us a so when we draw it out of it, we'd be able to get a free rotate action, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea. The other one is a push if I wanted to. I think we're going to give half of this. We're going to go half here and give half of this little thing here. I think that'll be fantastic. On top of that, I get a ship upgrade. So if we look at our ship, we have backlash here. Notice there's another ship here. I don't know. We might get another ship as we play. Who knows? But I do get to color in this ship ability card. And so we're going to gain our level 1 ship ability for backlash. And the Invictus's first level 1 upgrade is going to be maneuvering thrusters as 2 supply. But look at that. I can just use a supply to go 3 spaces. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's really good. This thing's going to have unbelievable maneuverability. It's got that and this flank ability. Oh my gosh, it's going to be flying all over the place. That's awesome. We're going to go for Enver next. Enver's also going to gain a ship ability, so we're going to scribble that in a little bit there to show that we have that. On top of that, he's going to be able to scribble in one of these as well. I can either have a recharge of a shield, I can get back one of my supply, or I could also do that to them, that hack ability that they were doing to me, gaining 1 stress. If I do a hack ability to an enemy, since they don't have stress, we'd be adding a stress miss card to the enemy modifier deck, which might not be bad. If I can get a bunch of those going, that'd be really good. I think we'll take that. We're going to take this hack. I think that'll be good. We're going to give half of a hack here. Half a hack. Here we go. Half a hack. That'll be fantastic. That's going to be the end of this one. With our ship ability, though, I get a ship ability. That's going to be awesome. The Merkava's ship ability is going to be computer targeting. For 1 supply, it can add +1 to the amount of people I target with something. Oh my gosh, that would be really good. Do you think I can use it with this? I don't see why I can't. That'd be pretty cool. I can target 2 people with my ion. That'd be really good. Now at the end of the adventure, you do get to bring all your, or I should say scenario or mission, you do get to kind of equip your characters, unless of course it tells you you can't. So I do get my engine and my weapon back, even though I had to destroy them. They don't actually get destroyed, they're just not able to be used anymore towards that scenario. I do get to buy something for 5 less than what I have, and I have 15 credits, so I'm going to buy this. Spike Pulse. It's going to push somebody away, but I think if I can ionize them with my computer, being able to lock onto a ton of different people, I think, or not lock on, but giving more targets, I think this will be really good to be able to push them away after I hit them. That'll be awesome. So he has no money left. Violet Ray, aka Eclipse, I think I'm going to give Long Shot to. I know it seems kind of weird because it's only 10, so it's only going to cost me 5. Giving me 10 credits, so I might be able to use those later, and it might be good to save credits. Who knows? But the reason I'm doing it is because I have so much maneuverability right now with my thrusters and my flank, and being able to cloak, I don't think I'll have any problem getting this. And this is going to be able to do 3 damage and go through shields, which I think is going to be very good. Oh, it's going to be so good. At this point, I'm going to read the story moment for the end of Medelia, and I'm going to be talking about kind of how this is going to play out. And the way it's going to play out is I'm going to have Colin from the One Stop Co-op Shop. He's going to come over, and we're not going to be playing Mission 4 because we've already played Mission 4 together. But that's as far as we've gotten in the game. At the time of this recording, I had actually just went on a family trip, and I just returned recently, so I haven't had a chance to be able to play this with him since then. And we thought it'd be really cool to be able to play it live for everybody on the channel. So we did make it through this, so I am going to read you these story moments, and we're going to make our choice, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens in the next mission, and we're going to go forward from there. Now, the cool thing about this game is I had never played the mission we just recorded here on the channel because we went to help the Sparrow. So in this playthrough, we went and did the other mission. So there's already these neat branching paths and different things that are going to happen to us in the future. I did talk to Colin, and we are actually going to be using our book right here. So we do have home base written here. We are the Chaotic Flyers, and I've got Thunderstruck and Eclipse, and his characters are going to go right over there. His characters will be Mech. He is playing Mech. He'll be playing, that is going to be his Guardian character here. He's going to be playing that one, which is going to be pretty sweet. I don't think he has 15 credits because he bought something. So he has no money. Colin's trying to cheat. No money for you. He bought a weapon. And the other character he has is going to be Starla. He's going to be playing with Starla, also known, I believe the call sign is Kayla here. So we're going to write it down. Of course, his handwriting is just about as bad as mine. So we're going to write that one in here. So going forward, we are going to be working together as a team. We're going to be playing with 4 characters. It's going to be a really, really cool, super neat adventure. Now let's get you up to speed on the story. It takes only a short moment of time for all the remaining enemy fighters to retreat to the capital ship. You find yourself in a moment of relative stillness. It won't last long, but it's a good time to assess this strange-looking flagship. It's an unusual shape, more like a floating island than a classic cruiser design. While you watch, it begins to slowly spin in place. A few remaining UIA ships taking their chance to flee from the field of battle. Where they are heading doesn't matter. Anywhere is better than here. Sol's voice breaks the silence. Hold your positions, cadets. This is Rathan's ship. We're attempting to initiate contact with, and then a giant flash. Either Sol was cut off or his staring open mouth at what is happening. The large ship bursts with light and fury. Colorful shields radiate across its surface. The glow is pulsing heavily from deep within the vessel. It seems as if something is building from deep inside. Without warning, a blast from the ship penetrating the surface of the planet below. The continuous stream of red light builds in intensity until, in an awful moment, it punches through the crust of Medelia itself. What happens next is never forgotten by anyone present, but rarely spoken of. A wave of shock passes through everyone watching. The only voice you hear is a cry of anguish over the radio that, despite the static, is recognized as Captain Soma. This sounds like something out of Battlestar Galactica. Medelia shifts in space, going in different directions. For a split second, the planet looks like an optical illusion or an oversized puzzle not fitting together. Then a colossal crack appears. It is followed by more fracturing across entire continents. Giant chunks of the planet begin to fall away from the rest of the sphere, like a sandcastle losing to the tide. Everything begins to drift from itself. On what remains of the surface, gravity appears to be working in reverse. Entire cities floating away. The atmosphere disappears into space, and hot magma from deep within the planet starts to harden as it is exposed to new cold reality. The beam abruptly stops. The giant weapon appears to be drained. The death blow to Medelia has emptied its reserves of power. Only emptiness remains. Medelia is gone. You don't know how long you have stared at the destruction before the proximity alarm screams into life. It alerts you to a vast angular piece of Medelia's crust floating towards you. You have got to get moving. One more look in the direction of the flagship weapon reveals enemy fighters pouring from it. They appear to be heading towards you. A quick scan shows an enormous amount of debris. You try not to focus on the fact that it's the remains of Medalia. The shock of the moment keeps you disorientated, allowing you to only focus on what is happening here and now. There's a possibility that you could hide among the fragments remains before finding somewhere to recharge and determine your next step. Simultaneously, you notice some civilian ships who have barely managed to get off the planet. They must have been damaged while leaving the planet, as they appear to be adrift now, floating amidst the debris of large buildings and giant landmasses. One of the pilots finally speaks up. "Sparrow, what do we do here? Sparrow?" At this point, we have to choose. We can either help the civilians escape, which will gain a civilian rescue flag and go to Scenario 5. We can turn and fight the invaders, gaining us the Ashes of Medalia, go to Scenario 5. Or we can flee to fight another day, Wisdom or Cowardice, go to Scenario 5. We're going to choose the Help the Civilians Escape. We've marked down our civilian rescue here on our Chaotic Flyers squad checklist thing here, and we'll move into the next story, which is number 5, and I'm going to explain how this all works and what's going to happen, and then after that you'll have everything ready for you when you come to our live playthrough that is going to be airing very soon as this recording drops. Now that you are going to leave, it won't be easy. Soul's voice crackles from the radio. "Stay alert, pilots. The enemy is targeting the Sparrow. We're going to need you to fight them off as we find a clean exit." Even through the frustration, his humor remains intact. "I hope you didn't have plans tonight, because we're not out of this yet." Waves of fighters come in hard and fast. Behind them, you can see the giant ship that destroyed the Medalia powering up again. Doubtless, they'll turn their attention to you soon. But in the meantime, you've got to focus on these fighters. It's Captain Soma on the comm, her words barely getting through her gritted teeth. "Cadets, stay close to the Sparrow and we can get out of this together. Whoever is responsible for this act will pay. I will not stop until it happens." She wants to stay and fight as much as you do. "But it will have to be another day." Your dashboard lights up with alerts. Taking a deep breath, you head back into the fray once more. So this particular mission was an escort mission where we're going to try to escort the Sparrow out of the system. I just want you to be aware how one of these missions work, because we might see one again in the future. This talked about how much hull it had, and it also talked about how the Sparrow would move. It would try to get off the board, and I'll show you the board in just a second. And the enemies are able to attack the Sparrow in this one, and they're also going to spawn more enemies. So it's basically just getting this thing off the board was all we needed to do, and let me tell you, it was pretty tough. We'd be spawning either a regular fighter, 2 regular fighters, 1 regular and an elite, or 2 elites. And since we were playing with 4 players, we'd be taking in 2 elites. And since we did the civilian rescue, we began with 2 more stress than we were supposed to, but we did make it out alive. Here was the board where we could place our ships. We had to put the Sparrow here, and it would move forward 2 each turn until it was able to get off the board. And this is where the new ships would spawn on in. And look at all these that started on the board. And I just think I think it happened on turn 2 and turn 5. They would spawn in even more. And we're trying our best to try to keep them away from the Sparrow. We even had to use our pilot abilities. We had to use those. We basically prevented the damage to the Sparrow, because the Sparrow barely made it out of here alive. But in the end, we were successful, and it said, "Well done, pilots. Return to the Sparrow and we'll get out of here." Captain Soma, congratulations are rare. It doesn't go unnoticed that she referred to you as pilots for the first time. Once you get back to the hangar, ask a busy-looking maintenance tech about Grease's whereabouts. She's down working on the jump drive. It took some damage during the flight. It looks as though you're not getting as far away as you hoped. So at this point, we did get 15 credits. So when I told Colin he was a liar and getting 15 credits, that was actually truth. He does have 15 credits. How about that? And we do get another pilot skill, and we do have to mark off the tag End of Medalia. And we're going to move and explore sector D2-1 with the Sparrow and lower its supply by 1 and read the conclusion. But that's where we're going to stop for now. This is the exact point where Colin and I have stopped our game. So we're going to pick this up live coming soon. We do have our 3 tags, the End of Medalia, Home Base, and Civilian Rescue. We have all of our call sign pilots ready to go with our squad, the Chaotic Flyers. This is going to be super fun. Our characters all do have 15 credits, and I did cross off our extra points here. So now his character is going to have an extra +1 in there, and it's going to have an extra target lock for Starla. My characters are going to have the extra -1 distress for Violet Ray, and we're going to have Enver with a hacking card inside of the deck for Enver. This is going to be really super fun. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when the live playthroughs of this game start happening. This is going to be super fun. I'm really excited to play this game all the way through with Colin if we get a chance to make it that far. Because you never know, I'm not the most tactical genius, as you saw in my flying. I barely made it through this last mission. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's a link to my Patreon in the description of this video, where Patreon members are allowed to help me decide what we're going to get for our characters, what characters are going to play, and potentially what we might be painting and playing in the future. For example, my Patreons were the ones that decided what tech we were going to be playing with for our characters going forward. So now we have the Ion on Enver, and we have the Cloak on Violet Ray. Thanks very much to all the patrons. Their names are now showing on the screen. I appreciate everybody's help. It's so awesome to have everybody supporting me. That's so great. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in leaving any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I would love to hear from everyone. Have you had a chance to play this game? How excited are you for this game? I just can't get enough of it, and I'm super excited to be moving forward with Colin when we start playing this game together live on Meet Me at the Table so everyone can enjoy it with us. We're then going to hopefully have you be able to make some decisions for us as well. This is going to become just a whole community game. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you again for watching. And if you're excited to see not only my two characters, but also Colin joining me for from the One Stop Co-op Shop, then I need you to meet me at the table.